Antarctica, the last great wilderness. It's a place of breathtaking beauty, but it's also a place of extreme danger. The cold alone can kill you in minutes and the weather can turn on you in an instant. It's a continent that demands respect. You don't conquer Antarctica, you survive it. Here, nature makes the rules, and humanity is just a guest. And sometimes, the wildlife reminds you of that in the most brutal way possible. We think we understand this world, but honestly, we're just scratching the surface. The real power here lies with the creatures that have adapted over millennia to thrive in this unforgiving landscape of ice stone. This is the story of a brilliant scientist. Her name was Kirsty Brown. She was an expert. She knew the risks. She was working for the British Antarctic Survey, a true professional. But on one fateful day in 2003, she came face to face with one of the continent's most formidable predators, the leopard seal. This story is a tribute to that spirit. It's also a stark warning. Kirsty Brown was not a tourist. She was a seasoned professional, a 28-year-old marine biologist. With the prestigious British Antarctic Survey, this was her second season in Antarctica. She knew the place. She understood its rhythms. Her passion was the ocean, and the incredible life it held beneath the ice. She was studying the food web, specifically the tiny creatures that form the base of the entire Antarctic ecosystem. It was vital work. Understanding these small organisms helps us understand the health of the entire planet. She was bright. She was dedicated. She was deeply respected by her colleagues. She was exactly where she wanted to be. Her journey to Antarctica was a testament to her dedication. She had trained hard. She was an experienced diver, comfortable in the frigid waters that would terrify most people. She had earned her place at the Rothera Research Station, a remote outpost on the Antarctic Peninsula. Kirsty was a key part of that team. Her enthusiasm was infectious. She wasn't just doing a job, she was living her dream, contributing to something much bigger than herself. The day was July 23, 2003. It was the middle of the Antarctic winter. Darkness cloaked the landscape for most of the day. Kirsty and her dive buddy, a fellow biologist named Paul, were preparing for a routine snorkel survey. Their mission was simple. They were to collect samples and observe the marine life in the shallow waters near the station. It was a task they had performed many times before. The conditions were good for Antarctica. The water was calm. The visibility was clear. There was no sense of impending doom. It was just another day of important scientific work in the most extraordinary office on Earth. They were part of a larger team. A support boat was nearby. 2 other colleagues were on board, ready to assist. This is standard procedure. No one ever dives alone in Antarctica. Your team is your lifeline. They monitor your progress. Kirsty and Paul slipped into the freezing water. The temperature was around minus 1.8 degrees Celsius. They began their survey, snorkeling along a predetermined line. They were focused on their work, scanning the seabed below. The world beneath the surface is magical, a silent blue-tinged cathedral of ice and rock. But in the shadows of the ice, something was watching them. The final, tragic chapter of the day was about to begin. The attack came without warning. It was swift and brutal. As Kirsty snorkeled, a large shadow emerged from the depths. It was a leopard seal, but this was not a typical encounter. This was different. This was predatory. The seal grabbed Kirsty in its powerful jaws. It pulled her under the water. The suddenness of the attack was shocking. One moment, she was a scientist at work. The next, she was in a life-or-death struggle with one of the most efficient hunters on the planet. Her dive buddy, Paul, saw it happen. He was just feet away. The scene turned into chaos. The seal was massive, likely weighing over 450 kilograms. It was incredibly powerful. It dragged Kirsty deeper into the water, shaking her violently. This is a behavior they use to disable prey, like penguins. The struggle was terrifyingly one-sided. Paul immediately tried to help, but the seal was too strong. The team in the support boat watched in horror, powerless to intervene in those critical first moments. The seal held Kirsty underwater for a prolonged period. The team was fighting for their friend's life, but they all knew the odds were stacked against them. The moment Kirsty was pulled into the boat, the mission changed. It was no longer about science, it was about survival. Her colleagues, her friends were now her rescuers. They were highly trained in emergency response. They began resuscitation attempts immediately right there in the cramped space of the inflatable boat. They worked furiously, battling the cold, the shock, the overwhelming grief. Every second counted. The Rothera station's doctor was alerted by radio. A full medical emergency was declared. The race back to the station was a blur of adrenaline and desperation. The boat sped across the water, its engine the only sound in the vast, silent landscape. The team continued CPR, refusing to give up. You fight for every breath, you never ever quit on a teammate, and the emotional toll was immense. But they pushed their feelings aside. They focused on the drills, on the procedures, on the one slim chance they had to save her. To understand what happened to Kirsty, you have to understand the leopard seal. This is not a gentle giant, it is a true apex predator. Scientific name, Hydrurga leptonix. A formidable hunter, grows up to 3.5 meters long, weighs over 500 kilograms, streamlined, powerful, built for speed, large reptilian-looking head, enormous gape, terrifying teeth, sharp canines for gripping, sieve-like molars for filtering krill, versatile hunter at the top of the food chain. Diet, krill, fish, penguins, other seals, crab-eater seal pups known for intelligence, known for brutal hunting techniques. They often wait under ice floes, ambushing penguins as they enter the water. Their method of shaking prey violently is designed to tear it apart and separate the skin from the meat. This isn't malice, it's instinct. It's how they have survived and thrived in this harsh environment for millions of years. The death of Kirsty Brown sent a tsunami of grief through the British Antarctic Survey and the global scientific community. At Rothera, work came to a standstill. The close-knit team was in shock. In such an isolated environment, your colleagues are your family. Losing one of them, especially in such a violent way, was a profound trauma. The immediate focus was on supporting the team, particularly Paul, who had witnessed the attack firsthand, and the others in the rescue boat. An official investigation was launched immediately by the BAS and the British government. Every detail of the incident was scrutinized. The equipment, the procedures, the environmental conditions. The behavior of the seal were all analyzed. The goal was not to place blame, but to understand what happened and prevent it from ever happening again. The investigation concluded that Kirsty and her team had followed all existing safety protocols. They had done nothing wrong. It was a tragic, unpredictable, and ultimately unpreventable predatory attack. This conclusion, while clearing the team, did little to ease the pain. The most important lesson from this tragedy is a simple one: respect. Absolute, unwavering respect for the power of the wild. We can go to the most extreme places on Earth with the best technology and the best training. But we are still just visitors. We are in their world, playing by their rules. The leopard seal that attacked Kirsty Brown wasn't evil. It was an animal acting on instinct, an instinct honed over millennia of survival. The incident serves as a permanent reminder that wildlife is unpredictable. We can study it, we can admire it, but we can never fully control it or assume we understand its intentions. This event taught the scientific community that preparation is everything, but it's not a guarantee of safety. The BAS team did everything right. Their procedures were solid, their training was excellent, yet tragedy still struck. The lesson learned was that safety protocols must constantly evolve. They must be based on the worst-case scenario, not the most likely one. The introduction of the dedicated SEAL Watch is a direct result of this. It's an admission that you can't be focused on your scientific work and be fully aware of your surroundings at the same time. Kirsty Brown's life was not defined by its tragic end, but by the passion and dedication she brought to her work. Her legacy lives on in the science she contributed to and the people she inspired. She was a gifted marine biologist helping to unravel the complex web of life in the Antarctic. Her research provided valuable data that continues to inform our understanding of this vital ecosystem. She represented the very best of the scientific spirit. Curious, courageous, committed to making a difference. Her work, though cut short, remains a part of the foundation of modern Antarctic biology. Her legacy is also one of safety. Every diver, every snorkeler, every scientist who enters the Antarctic water today is safer because of what happened to Kirsty. The changes to safety protocols, the mandatory SEAL watches, the heightened awareness, these are all part of her legacy. Her death was a terrible price to pay, but it led to systemic changes that have protected countless others. The BAS established the Kirsty Brown Fund to support early career scientists. This fund provides opportunities for the next generation of polar researchers to follow in her footsteps. It ensures that her name is associated with opportunity, learning the future of the science she loved.